Okay, so this is April 11th, 12. April 11th. Huh. Obviously, I've got my daughter on my mind now, don't we? Okay, so anyway, it's August 12th, 2020. Here is a batch of apples that I did yesterday. Some of them had peel. Most of them had peel. I didn't peel them all, right? Because I don't have a lot of time and I don't have a sink. Here is some of those fresh blueberries. I still have some left. Now, when I dehydrated, I'm dehydrating, people. You know that. I'm making fruit leather, right? So, I'm just grabbing it. Here, hold on. It's piling up. You can see. That's with the blackberry. Now, Andre and I, we did pick some blackberries yesterday, only because they're there and nobody's picking them. And I froze those ones, right? However, I do like the blackberry with the blueberry. I mean, the blackberry with the apple. I do. So I still may pick a little more at some point. And because apples are falling and there's lots of apples, and this is what I'm doing. I'm not making apple butter. I'm not making applesauce. I don't need any of that, people, okay? But I am doing this. Now, the apple with the blueberry is so, so good. Technically, I don't even need that much because blueberry takes a very, very long time to dehydrate into that dry state that I showed you over here, right? And when you're doing long-term food storage, I'm telling you, you don't want them plump and kind of like, you know, you want them completely dry, like dry, right? And they'll last forever. Here, you can see the sugar is still on the food, right? Because of the sugar content. So, actually, this might even be too much in terms of half of this into that and then dehydrating it. You can taste the blueberry in this, but you don't need a lot of blueberry. Okay? That's what I'm finding. So I may take out a little bit more, maybe a third more out of here, right? And then I'm going to take the bullet, you know, the bullet, and I'm going to mix it all up, and then I'm going to put it in my dehydrator trays, and I'm going to continue to do this as I go along. Now, I did one batch of apples yesterday, right? Don't forget, I'm using my bathtub for washing dishes and whatever I'm having to do here. But that's okay. It takes a little longer, but you can work around it, right? When there's a will, there's a way. And in this situation, you want that way, okay? Now, I did give one jar already to the lady who owns the apple tree. This is the blackberry jelly. And she was very happy to receive that. Now, I did tell her that if I do another batch of blackberry jelly, which I still may very well do, right? Because I do want that pulp to mix in with the apples one more time. I told her I'd give her another jar, but besides that point, this is all I have right now. And so this jar here is for Lucy. Now, here's a disclaimer. Lucy, I know you're watching my videos, and I came back online. I was only off for a day, right? I'm kind of choked with YouTube, obviously. I have a right to be choked with YouTube. You know, you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on federal, 2 of them, trademarks, right, over a period of 20 years, and you're still obligated to do your renewals and spend more thousands of dollars, right, to keep the integrity around, you know, the trademark in terms of ultimately what it stands for, and that is for community development, program development, you know, promoting charitable acts, right, you know, encouraging people in general, young people, whoever, right, to be self-empowered so that they can be the best that they can be. Everything that a government is supposed to represent on a, you know, societal sense, which it has failed to do, but the nonprofit still remains. However, it's always been infiltrated by trolls. Okay, what's happening right now with this nuisance that I'm experiencing with you know, somebody that obviously has a huge chip on their shoulder, right, isn't nothing new. Okay, the only difference is this time it's kind of being more documented, because back in the day in 2002, 2003, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, even 2009 and so on, right? There was no real YouTube, and if there was, I wasn't involved with it. You know, I used to go out into the courtyard Gateway Place, and I had this chick named Marnie come literally run out and start, you know, following me around as I'm doing things with the kids, right? Recording me, calling the cops on me. I had another woman come out and grab my sign and, you know, and stomped on the garden that I planted with the kids, because people like those kind of people, right? Like, ultimately, deep down inside, they're jealous. They're jealous, one, that they can't get out there and do things, right, in terms of, you know, trying to motivate people. And that's why I'm doing this video today, because we're going to stick with the format of motivating those who, you know, just need that moral support. It's not about a kick in the ass. It's not about telling you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's about just giving you that moral support that you need to carry on and finish the job. Whatever job that you're working on, in order to get your family through man-made crises that is out of control, with a very with a very uncertain future, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen to anybody these days, unless, of course, you're one of them, right? You got to have the right kind of eye set. It's not even about the mindset. It's about having the right kind of eyes. And once they get those eyes, people, like, they've been altered. There's something wrong with some of these so-called individuals in our society. And I'm going to continue to work on that. Now, whether YouTube allows me to post those videos as I continue to work on that, to expose not only the corruption within our government, but the infiltration of very bad beings, okay? So, in the meantime, right, you know, I mean, YouTube is an unstable site. It's been unstable for a very long time. They don't like truthers. They don't like preppers. They don't like people that actually, you know, lead by example, right? In terms of, I tell you the bad things that happened to my family. I walk you through those things, right? Whether I swear or not is not the point, because, oh, if she swears, I'm not going to listen to her because she got potty mouth. Well, you know, then you're just losing out on the information, because if you think that just because you've committed yourself to a religious ideology and you've put yourself up and above on some pedestal, unless, of course, you've got those funky eyes, right? You know, that's not going to protect you from the things that are coming. What might help, and it won't even protect you, people, is to do stuff like this, okay? So that's why I'm back online, even though I never really left, right? But in light of what YouTube has been doing to my channel for years, and I've had you know, my viewership comment to me that, you know, I'm definitely being shadow banned. So that's no new information. You know, they're allowing an individual to purposely spam federal trademarks because they're in partnership with the police to silence me, because that's what abusers like to do. They like to silence their abusers. They scare off their family members. They scare off their friends. They like to keep them isolated so that there's nobody there to help them. Well, YouTube is kind of participating in that abuse, right? By flooding the search engines with somebody that's no different than what was going on at Gateway Place back in 2007 with, you know, a crazy running around, following me with the camera, calling the cops on me as she's recording me as I'm working with children, trying to promote, you know, a universal social development program in one of the areas of Surrey where the poverty was extreme. Gateway Place was the poorest of the poor in all of Surrey, okay? All right? That's what I moved into, not realizing what I was moving into until I got there. I used to work with 40 to 60 kids a day, from 10 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning until 9:10 at night. As by 9:10, we were bringing in all the equipment that I hoard into my teeny weeny apartment so I could go back out and do it again and again and again, as I had full-grown women, mostly white women, right? The Africans didn't. The Africans, they enjoyed. Because you know why the Africans enjoyed it, people? And respected me? Because they came from third world countries. Like Darfur, sitting up in a fucking tent with 100,000 people, baking under the sun, waiting for one jug of sour milk to come in once a week to feed their family. That's why they were grateful when I was out there defending them as they came to Canada as the white people, basically, that lived in the poorest of the poor of all Surrey complexes, picked on them. I have videos of the kids talking about it. And if you talk about it today with those same very kids who are adults today, they will tell you the same stories. And what did I do? Mama Lynn got back up on that horse, went back out into that courtyard, and did what needed to be done, not because I was told to do it, not because I was trying to prove something. It was because that was just something that I wanted to do, and I was following through on my obligations with federal trademarks in order to provide other people the opportunity to do the same things that I had done or was doing. Because it's obviously going to take more than one person. But you see, that's the thing about abusers. They come, they stalk, right? They scare everybody away. They intimidate people. You know, they call the cops on. They do this. They beat you up. They do whatever the fuck they can do to run everybody off so that you're standing there all by yourself and you can't defend yourself. And then they win. Well, this is what's happening with this YouTube shit right now. Right? The only thing is, I'm not just doing straight up cooking videos. I'm not just doing straight up, gardening videos. Obviously not, because in the real world, we've got some bigger issues to be thinking about. And that is, one, corrupt governments that come online, do fake pre-recorded live streams time after time after time, and then restream those fake pre-recorded live streams with fake death statistics, fake infection rates, right? And anything else fake that they wrote in with their ghostwriter 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 days ago, and then they come up online with their, this is in order because since 2 days ago, even though I did the live stream 5 days ago, but I'm not going to tell you I did that live stream 5 days ago, but I am going to tell you today that 2 days ago, we got like 3 more deaths and 85 more new infections, which is a bunch of freaking crock. And I'm going to continue to expose it, people, and therefore that puts my channel at risk to being deleted by YouTube as they allow a Marnie with her camera calling the cops, scaring all the little children away so the truth doesn't get out there, spamming not only my channel but spamming my trademark. If she didn't use the trademark to the degree that she's using it, she wouldn't get that much attention. The only reason that she's getting the attention in terms of through the search engine is because she's using a federal trademark that's been in operation for 20 years, people. Okay? And YouTube is being negligent. Right? As they're plotting and scheming, trying to figure out how they can delete my channel because they're working with our corrupt governments, more than one, to feed the public old okie dokie so that we fight. We're separated from each other so that we're easy to be picked off for the ones that are more vulnerable. And that's why I'm back online, even though I took a 1-day retirement, right? Because I'm going to fight against it, people, right? I only tell the story in terms of, I still work on a nonprofit. Board director is working on something. There's something that he's trying to do, right? There's actually 2 things that he wants to do. He wants to open up his own X club. Think about that one. We're talking about a Punjabi man that wants to open up his own X club. And I'm not talking a Muslim Malcolm X start preaching the gospel. I'm talking about opening up something for the young men in the community so that they can have a place to gather in safety and do productive positive things. This is what the board director wants to do. But here's the problem. It's hard to motivate the young men in the community for whatever reason. Whether it's pressure to pay the bills, whether it's, as soon as they come together, they get labeled as a gang, or whether it's internal infighting, whatever it is. He's having his own struggles putting together the second X Club. Okay? Well, it'd be more than a second. I've had a few of them. But this time, he wants to do one. For the men, mainly. The young men in the community. To get community involved, right? To get involved with the community on a charitable sense that helps to uplift them. All right? And then there's something else he wants to do through immigration where it helps the immigrants, nobody specific, but the ones that are coming in that don't have any money, as the federal government is charging them to come to this country, $1,500 a head. Okay? Doesn't matter where you come from. Okay? So if you come from Darfur, right, sitting up in the freaking tent with 100,000 in a refugee camp, all right, and you've got 5 kids, 2 parents, and you happen to be one of those lucky ones that get to come to Canada, the government puts on a $1,500 head tax per family. And that family is obligated to pay that head tax to the federal government. Well, you know what? I'm sure that same issue is applicable right across the board to any type of immigrant that comes to Canada. So a lot of these immigrants that he deals with, because he's a lawyer, right? That's what he did after he got a car accident. He became a lawyer. And I don't know if he has his own business or if he works for somebody. I don't know. But I just know that he wants to, there's papers that in declarations or something that he wants to do, right, for free or with a very minimal fee. And I said, well, whatever you want to do, just make sure you get a good accountant. Okay? That's all. Just make sure you get a good accountant. So we got that pending, people. The $2 million didn't come in. That guy fell off the boat. But that's okay. It was probably dirty money anyway. We don't launder money through the foundation that I founded, because if we were laundering money through the foundation that I founded, oh God, life would be different now, wouldn't it? I would be rolling in the dough. But I'm still at the zero. Okay? But that doesn't mean I'm a failure. And the same thing applies to the people that are watching this video. Okay? For the ones that are saying, two of my friends, my YouTube friends, Lucy and April, they don't want me to shut down just to preserve the channel in the event that YouTube shuts me up because I'm exposing my government for false pretense, fraud, conspiracy, and breach of trust. Time after time after time after time. As the bigger YouTube channels stay quiet on it, as if they're participating in that fraud, to which I'm sure some of them are. Okay? But you can't live for other people. You have to live for yourself. And you got to take care of your family. So that's what we're going to work on. We're going to work on taking care of our family. Okay? Our families. Okay? Our friends. Our true friends. Right? Our community. Okay? Because these politicians are out of control. Okay? And they're harvesting en masse. If you think that they were harvesting en masse through the fentanyl, what's coming is even going to get worse. Okay? Us humans have been packaged into deals in terms of, first it's the women and children that will be harvested en masse, where most people won't pay attention to it because they're just breeders and eaters, right? And then once those are all harvested, the hunger will still be there, right? The thirst for blood will still be there. And then that's when they're going to go in to the households with the 2.2 picket fences, which they've already started to do because they're breaking up those households. They're not helping to keep the nucleus family together. They're breaking up the middle class to create more dependency on the government in terms of women and children falling through the cracks as dads being put to jail for not paying child support. Okay, versus working to keep the family together, dad at home with the mom, with the kids, you know, and building in those safety nets so dad, mom, and the kids can stay together and prosper as a family, and those kids can carry on with that, you know, lineage, right? No. They got to bankrupt dad, right? So that the marriage falls apart, and then dad becomes, like I say, a target for child support. And if he can't pay child support, what happens? It's already in the works, people. He loses his license and he goes to jail. And then what happens to mom and the kids? Well, they just go into that package deal that our politicians have sold off to lizard people, basically. To things that are not fucking human. All right? If you want it in black and white. All right? And lots of people are working on proving that. I'm not the only one. Right? But you see, I'm vulnerable. I'm easy to shut down and shut up. Right? I'm easy to isolate. I'm easy to pick on. I'm easy to threaten. I'm easy to push other people away that support me so that I stay isolated. And if they have to, they will shut down my channel. So that's what I'm concerned about. Not so much the spam and all this other shit, right? I don't got time for this. You want to know my story? Go into my videos. You'll hear the bullshit that we went on and that was going on around this fucking house because of these stupid idiots that fucking flew in on a fucking broomstick from Alberta. Okay? Right? When my oldest son gets beat with baseball bats, with fucking 4 or 5 guys swarming him with baseball bats as they're waiting out in the fucking alley because he was trying to run them off my property. But you're not going to hear that part of the story now, are you? You're not going to hear about my son being beat with baseball bats from Julian's friends who kept bum rushing ShaMay in my house as I was stacking up the boxes to keep them out. You're not going to hear that part. But that's not what this video is about. And as a matter of fact, I should upload this video and then start fresh with the food, because otherwise the videos, they just, I did a 2-hour video just a while ago, right? And then another hour and whatever. I mean, that gets to be obnoxious after a while, right? You know, in terms of like, you know, like for me, having to convert and upload and transfer files and, you know, clear out my computer and, right? But Lucy, here's the disclaimer. I didn't mention this. Now, I know in my rabbles, I was going to say ranting, but this time I called them rabbles. In my rabbles, you know, when I go on about the crooked Fraser Health Authority and their staff, right, in terms of Dr. Gould and his Lucy's, I know you're a mature woman and you can discern the difference between your name and the Lucy's that are flocking the halls of our public hospitals as they target vulnerable individuals, whether they're for medical kidnapping so that they can take their money, or whether it's to pillage their bodies for organs and body parts and teeth and that type of thing. Okay, it takes a special kind of person. Well, I wouldn't even call him a person. It takes a special kind of thing to hook up dead bodies to machines after they've been illegally embalmed, right? And then try and play it off like they're alive so that they can cover up the dirty deeds that they had done. That's the Lucy's in terms of vampires and Draculas. Dr. Gould is like a Dracula with his Lucy's, right? That come out of the coffin to do such ghoulish and morbid things. It has nothing to do with you and your name. It's just, it's what is it, a metaphor, an analogy? I don't know. It's one of those things, right? You know, that's, so, you know, I'm not trying to disrespect you per se, Lucille or Lucy, okay? I admire you very much for giving me that moral support, and that's why I'm doing this video, because for as much moral support you and April give me and others, Sweet Pea and whoever, right, you know, I just want to keep giving that moral support back. It's like Uncle John said, we're going to stick together and we're going to get through it, right? So in order to be able to get through for what our politicians have in store for us, for the ones that are not in that top 10 percentile in terms of rolling in the dough, because we already know that the middle class is being broken apart, families are being destroyed, dads are being bankrupted from their businesses, women are losing their jobs, children are being forced to be science experiments in our public school systems now, as people are being isolated in public hospitals from their loved ones, and they're forced to die alone with no witnesses to verify how they died, how they were treated. Like, we're in very, very, very dire times, and people do need to fight back. So the more I find the corruption within the British Columbia Canadian government, which currently is the New Democratic Party, I will continue to post it online. And being that they are facts, and I am showing facts, YouTube has no right to take them down. Sure, they're going to shadow ban because, you know, News of the Century gets 35 views. Think about it, people. News of the Century gets 35 views. There's a reason for that, right? But besides that point, I heard what you said. Well, I read what you said. And we're just going to stick with the format, okay? Because through me doing this, gives you little ideas how to incorporate it into your life for yourself, your family, your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors, and your community, okay? Because it all extends out, right? If everybody was prepared, then the process would be smoother in terms of handling the crises as the crises occurs, right? So you got to do your share. Okay, so I'm going to end it on this video. Now, I can't wash these in my sink, so after I get this going, right, and I get more apples cooking, then I'm going to come in there with a bowl and wipe everything down, get this off the counter, because as soon as the next pot of juice is done, I'm canning another batch of jars today. Plus, I picked some more beans. I've got a very big bucket. I'd like to try and freeze them, but I don't have time. So I'm just going to can them in the pressure canner tonight and be done with it, because this is not a time to be wasting food. Right, this is what I like about pressure canning, and you know, when you're doing food prep, right? You want some frozen, some canned, some dehydrated, and I guess if you can afford it, you can get it. What is it? How is it? Freeze dried, right? You can buy from a producer that gives those big cans of freeze dried food. To do freeze dried for yourself is like, just the machine itself is like $3,000. So that sounds impractical. But unless of course you can afford it, right? But I heard it's not that good in terms of doing it for yourself. It's just better to buy it that way. So you have 4 different methods to do food preparation in the event of a major crisis, which currently we're in the middle of. It's just we haven't come to the head of it yet. Okay, so there you go. I didn't take the whole bowl. And then you just take your bullet, put them in a bit of sugar, put them on your trays.